fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What people do in no money, what people at you, in no at you. Covid money, miss away in the yellow rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste and bust a man to statue. Say me like a cash, but they got in a figure you. Take this print of money, God and say that is not you. One day the man above end up, him a got a bed. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social leaders coming at you.
It burn me.
300% free.
It burn me.
Garbage pile of the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
For me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The 100 the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in our fever. Member bowl honey and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't.
Yes. Good evening and welcome to another of our live. Good evening to those of you who are here. Thank you for joining me. And we are saying this evening, welcome to Not So Great Britain, where anything is possible in Tory politics. 2016, we see the demise of David Cameron after gambling with the country economic future surrounding everything Brexit, and literally after pushing us under the bus, David Cameron just run off, left us, and then we end up with hostile environment, Theresa May, which, as we all know, us on the side of Brittany here, she tried very hard to push through a Brexit deal, but under no circumstances, dear old May couldn't get it through because our partner, people like the faithful Johnson and all of those, vote down Theresa May Brexit deal, and because she couldn't get it through, Baps, Theresa May have to go. Theresa May took over from David Cameron in 2016. She had to go in 2019 because she couldn't push through the Brexit deal. Then we end up with the faithful, as we all know, Boris Johnson lie him way into government and him lie him way out. Boris Johnson came in 2019, Baps the uncle out 2022. But it gets worse, because after Boris Johnson, then comes the lettuce. Dear old Liz, 45 days after killing and burying Elizabeth, then she just might as well to destroy the economy and then have to move on. So from that, we end up with the millionaire banker with a billionaire tax dodging wife who was beaten by Liz the Lettuce, and then as a refusal after the 45-day Brooks, that's the fallback on. So there we end up with Richie. But dear old Richie is in problem because Richie have what we deem in Britain as the Wicked Witch, Cruella the Witch, or the modern day Enoch Powell. The Enoch Powell in a darker skin. Now, Suella Braverman, under Boris Johnson tenure, she was the Attorney General. She was sacked from government as the Attorney General. Rishi brought her back in as the Home Secretary. Previously, it was another racist Home Secretary, another Asian woman, Priti Patel, racist to the core. But Suella Braverman took it to a different level, where she was outright racist, xenophobic, tried to pitch working class people against each other, and her shopping list goes on. But her demise came during the London protest of the weekend gone, which coincided, the London protest, the Palestine protest of the weekend gone, coincided with the armistice weekend celebration, which is the ceasefire for World War I and II. So Suella Braverman, it must be said, she's married to a Jewish or a Zionist, whichever one it is. So she came up with inflammatory remarks that the Palestinian demonstrators are hate protesters and their hate speech and all sorts, and the protest should be stopped, or if the police doesn't stop it, the police is taking sides. And that caused a hot water, probably even causing the London protests to be much bigger than it would have been over the weekend gone. But because of Suella blunder, everything just went out, and the far right group like the EDL and those lot, because of Suella Braverman rhetoric, those people turn up. Those were the people who were mainly having confrontation with the police, not the peaceful Palestinian protesters. But all of these, Prime Minister from David Cameron to Richie Sunak, are a litany of Brexit failure. But it gets worse. Their old Dave is back. Not just as Dave the MP, because no, he left politics in 2016, but as a former Prime Minister, he gets what is called a live peerage. He gets the title of Lord or Baron, and he sits in the House of Lords for the rest of his life. Luckily, Tony Blair changed up that thing, because most of the time it used to be hereditary peerage, meaning that if David Cameron gets a peerage and it was a hereditary peerage, he could have passed the peerage on to his son or daughter. The peerage mainly goes in the son line, and it goes like that within the generation. So because Tony Blair changed it to a life peerage, you can only become a peer or a lord or a baron or a lady or a baroness within your lifetime. Sorry, but you cannot pass it on to your heirs. So Dave is back, not just as Lion Dave, but as Lion Lord Dave or Lion Baroness Dave. Now, is Richie Sunak playing a cheat card trick here on David Cameron? Because we must remember that it was David Cameron who gambled with the UK economy because he was pandering to the far-right group, which is Nigel Farage and his UKIP party, pretty much the Sawada Braverman type on steroid. Because the far-right was becoming so popular in Britain, and Nigel Farage run around with the argument that Britain must come out of the EU because the EU is dictating our law. We're paying too much to be in the EU, and a whole lot of xenophobic rants attached to that. So David Cameron, because he's a 1.5 prime minister, his first term wasn't an all-out win. It was a strong parliament with the Liberal Democrat. So he then wins the second term on a thin majority, but he managed to form the government. Because the far right was getting so strong, David Cameron then tried to throw a bone at Nigel Farage to calm him down by offering a referendum on the Brexit issue. Should we stay in or out? And even though he campaigned for in, Boris Johnson, all of those people campaigned for in, the Nigel Farage camp managed to win the vote, taking Scotland and Northern Ireland and all of that out of Europe, which didn't really want to come out of Europe, and down South England here. It's mainly Wales and up North England really give the mandate to come out of Brexit. David Cameron resigned immediately the day after, as he promised if he lost the Brexit vote, he would step down. And then the litany of Bangarang starts. But is Rishi playing a cheat card trick with Cameron? Because Cameron is the one who messed the thing up. Rishi brought him back in as foreign secretary. Though not being an MP anymore, they can do that via the Lords, because Tony Blair, I think Tony Blair, was it Tony Blair or Gordon Brown did it with Alistair Campbell as business secretary in the Lords. David Cameron now as the foreign secretary, will have to have all these difficult conversations with the EU in relation to trade, Brexit negotiation, the legal dismantling of the EU and the UK. So, yes, Conservative is at a spot where they haven't got much option, because if Sunak had options, you could have scraped somebody within the whole rank of Conservative MPs to become the foreign secretary. But for me, this is throwing back the problem where the problem starts. Because had David Cameron not offered this Brexit vote, then the nation wouldn't be where it is even though the British economy was broken anyway. But coming out of Brexit has cost the economy a lot more. So I think David Cameron, Rishi is just throwing David Cameron right back into the problem that he created. And I think rightly so, because I think David Cameron should have stayed on to assist with the Brexit issue rather than not just running as a prime minister, but run from parliament altogether. So all of this happening now, there may be a shelf life for Rishi, because there's two things that conservatives hold dear to: the life of conservatism and the life of the Tory party. Sunak is becoming more and more popular, especially with the whole Suella Braverman fiasco and the undermining of the police, the putting us and them against each other. He's becoming weaker and weaker. Keir Starmer is becoming stronger in the poll. This spells something for Rishi. He can be toppled at any time by his conservative colleagues, because one thing the conservatives will not do is go into an election with a weak sitting duck. They will move him. So let us see where this ramble goes in the life of conservatism. And question I want to ask, because if the political life of David Cameron can be resurrected as a ex or past 1.5 prime minister to come back on the benches of the government, could there be a return for Theresa May? Could we see the lion Boris Johnson return to frontline politics? Or even so, the bloody hands of Tony Blair, could that also be possible, that Tony Blair could return to frontline politics? Or even the racist Suella Braverman, because this is the second time she's been sacked from government. So the Tory party is showing that political life can be resurrected. But let us see where it goes. Let us see where it goes. And for those of you who are here, if you could just give the live a like and a share for me, please, so it could go out there to others. And thank you for being here with me. Thank you very much. I want to turn over to our lovely Prime Minister now, because I have some catch up to do with the Prime Minister. I want some update from you, Prime Minister Holness, because you not promise. No, it's almost a promise, where you told the nation that there's consideration being given to rectify Jamaica no vote at the United Nations. While we know that a vote is a vote is a vote is a vote, can you update us on how you plan to do that? Because you're not going to come in public and say these things and then we just walk away and you just get away with it. Come back and update us, inform us as to how you are going to rectify Jamaica's no vote at the UNGA on the 27th of October. You said consideration is being given to rectify it. Explain, please, how that will happen. By way of how. Because in the UN is not somewhere where you can do a little fraud ballot, a button you no press, and a something where you can push in a somebody's hand. So therefore, inform us by way of how you're going to rectify Jamaica no vote at the UN. And another thing that you need to update the nation and Prime Minister is your new ministry. Your contemplated new ministry. This is something that you need to update the nation on, because you put it across to us as a solution to the crime problem. Shockingly, after so long. But inform us. Give us the feasibility study of how it will work alongside with Dr. Chang's office, or is it a duplication of Dr. Chang's office, or it's just rhetoric to get votes and attention? Is it about popularizing yourself for the next election? Because this promise, just promising us a ministry without detailing or coming out and just blurting out things like that in public without a feasibility study done, having looked through how this thing will work, have it strategized. It means, Prime Minister, that you're still into using sound bites to fool the people. And this is a thing you do regular. You act as if we're not listening when you speak, but we listen to you carefully. So don't think that this is something that we are going to just walk away from. You need to tell us how this ministry is going to work, even though we don't want it. Tell us how your dream will work out, because this really sounds like a dream. So tell us how this will work out. Because you cannot just tell the nation, new ministry to treat crime and violence, but not give us any further update on that. So please update us on those two things, PM. The UNGA vote and the new ministry that you promise. A friend of mine came to Jamaica a couple weeks ago, Mr. Holness. And there are some things that's been brought to my attention in relation to our financial institution, namely Scotiabank. Backtrack a bit. We see where, was it last year, you spent one whole heap of money to change out our currency and bring in new currencies. Just after that, we hear you talking about cashless society and central bank digital currency, even though you still go back and backtrack because you come out and you talk, and when we question you, you backtrack. My friend who came to Jamaica had a massive problem in accessing cash from the cash machine within the Kingston and St. Andrew area, particularly to do with Scotiabank. Duhaney Park Plaza, 2 cash machine, none working. Scotiabank Boulevard Plaza, 2 cash machines, none working. Dunrabin Drive, Scotiabank, 1 machine, one machine, none working. Scotia at 3 Mile, 6 cash machines, none working. We also heard arguments coming out of Jamaica Prime Minister that these new bank notes don't quite work well in our machine them. Is it that the new bank notes does not work in the current cash points that we have? Why so much cash point within that circular Kingston and St. Andrew? There's no cash available to customers. Or could it be that because of these whole beryllium truck getting hit, unafraid to move around cash to the banks? Or furthermore, could this be a deliberate ploy of frustration to frustrate the people and drive them into your CBDC cashless society? So we need to keep our eye open with what's going on the ground in Jamaica. Those of you who are involved in the system on a daily basis, look at the changes that are happening around you. They don't bring in these changes, these control changes, they don't bring them in slap bang. They sweep them through through the back door in the dead of night. And by the time you recognize it, you're all the way deep into acceptance or normalization because you didn't see where this was going. So keep your eyes on how this whole cash thing is going, because if we have new notes and the cash machines are empty, update the nation, are the new bank notes compatible with the current cash machines that we have? If not, is there plan to have new machines rolled out across the nation? But the people need to know, the people can't have all these cash outlets around them, but when they try to access them, all of them are empty. So the government need to update the people, or not just the government, Scotiabank themselves need to update the people as to what on earth is going on with their system. Is it to do with them? Is it to do with the money? Is it because of fear? Is it because of the government? But that is something that you all must keep your eyes on. Don't sleepwalk. Do not just sleepwalk into a cashless society. Know what is happening around you. Ask questions from the banks. Ask questions of your MPs and your local councillor. Get them to write to the government and ask the government questions. This is how you put these people to work. And I want to run through one more thing on the Jamaica side, which is a pressing issue. It's something everybody is talking about. It's something that all of us ought to question. And it's the issue of one, first, the discovery of 320 pipe bombs. And secondly, a litany of bomb threats we've had across the nation throughout last week. Now, these were mainly to do with schools. However, there were bomb threats to other public buildings as well. But the threats were mainly targeted at schools, which leaves a lot of questions up in the air. Our children have just come out of 2 years of non-education and is trying to catch up on a lot of losses of their learning throughout the whole lockdown period, throughout that whole 2 years period. Now to have gone back to school and to be in fear, to be terrified within your education institution leaves a lot of questions. Who is targeting our children? Who is driving fear into our children? Who has something to gain from terrifying our children? Whose agenda it is to terrify the nation? Is the government involved in any of this? Is the government deploying psychological warfare on the people in order, because we hear the government ramping up this terror argument. You all need to listen to this guy. He keeps talking about this terror argument. Bear in mind that he's also a friend with Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, if these, even though the police are came out hours later, even though the police came out hours later and say the bombs were hoax, we still can't be sure of what is happening around us. The issue is we've seen governments use terror laws to really change or limit our constitutional rights. If the nation is seen to be under a terror threat, the nation could go into high alert, and as we know, our Prime Minister fund tool, a state of emergency, which will be next. Now, they can define their terror threat to be as long as they want it to be. And however long the terror threat goes on for, then we're also in a state of emergency for the whole of that period. Keep your eyes on where this is going. Because if we are under terror threat and we are in a state of emergency, we can't call election. So we could have another term of the wholeness is by stealth. So keep your eyes on this whole terror situation, because you don't want to sleepwalk into more control and more dictatorship. The government is talking terror. Pipe bombs been found on the island. Bomb threats been going around the island. Keep your eyes on what's going on. We see governments around the world tend to use these behaviors to change laws and to restrict and limit your rights. Watch where this is going. Lastly, before I go, I just want to turn my attention to Gaza, as I cannot finish without dealing with the issue of Gaza. We see everything coming out in the news now that the main hospital in Gaza has ceased to operate because they have no electricity, no fuel or anything to carry out their work. It is said that the babies that are in intensive care have to be kept alive manually, meaning that they have to be pumping air into their lungs manually from one of those handheld mechanisms. Those people in the NHS know what it is. But amidst all that, the genocide, war crimes, human rights violation, wanton killing, and flagrant violation of human rights law and humanity continue. Who is going to come and save Gaza and the children of Gaza? The world is just looking on while the massacre unfolds. And I want to say to the Arab world tonight, what will you do to protect the children of Gaza? What help will you bring to Gaza? What will you do to stop the onslaught in Gaza? Because the West has no intention of stopping this onslaught against the children of Gaza. So I want to ask the Arab world tonight, what will you be doing? What are you planning to do to protect the children of Gaza, to stop the onslaught on the children of Gaza? It is heart-rendering to see the things that are happening. A hospital. The hospital cannot operate anymore while people are dying, children are dying. The bombing continues. But I want to say to all of us, let us do everything to support Gaza, the people of Gaza, the children of Gaza. Let us use our voices to speak out, demonstrate when we can, donate if we can, and do everything we can to make sure that the final apartheid on earth come to an end. I want to thank you very much for being here with me tonight. Thank you for your company. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. And remember, we are here Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday night between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. Mainly starting at 11, but it could be any time between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m., sorry, and 1 a.m. Thank you very much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow night. Thank you very much.